Boris sends an extraordinary red alert warning, don't make any of these 5 mistakes. Boris Johnson has sent an extraordinary Brexit warning after publishing his 5 red lines over his UK internal market bill. The Prime Minister has detailed 5 warnings over his plans to override parts of the Brexit deal, warning Brussels bosses he is not willing to budge. The government's amendment to the UK internal market bill will require MPs to vote before a minister can use powers which override international law if the EU undermines the fundamental purpose of the Northern Ireland Protocol. A policy paper published on Thursday stated that examples of such behaviour would include the EU refusing to grant third country listing to UK agricultural goods for manifestly unreasonable or poorly justified reasons. It also listed an insistence that the EU's state aid provisions should apply in GB in circumstances when there is no link or only a trivial one to commercial operations taking place in, as a reason why Parliament would be asked to support the bill's provisions. The other examples listed include an insistence that GBNI tariffs and related provisions should be charged in ways that are not related to the real risk of goods entering the EU single market, as well as an insistence on export declarations for NI goods going to GB. His controversial plan to break international law has angered scores of his backbenchers, and prompted the European Commission to demand the provisions in the bill relating to the withdrawal agreement be dropped by the end of the month. Mr. Johnson's warning comes after Brussels said its position had not changed and it still wanted the clauses to be withdrawn from the legislation. Eric Miller, chief spokesman for the European Commission, told a press briefing, "We have, as you know, set out a position extremely clearly. It is in our statement, and it relates to those clauses being withdrawn from the law. That position has not changed and we have asked the UK to do this at the earliest possible convenience, and by the end of September at the latest. That has not changed." The spokesman also insisted the EU carries out negotiations in good faith after the Prime Minister told MPs on Wednesday he did not believe they had acted as such in the Brexit talks. Mr. Mimmer added, "I think that Michael Barnier showed, in the context of the negotiations on the withdrawal agreement, that even on extremely complex and politically sensitive issues the Commission and indeed the EU negotiate in perfectly good faith." Mr. Johnson unveiled legislation that would break parts of the Brexit divorce treaty relating to Northern Ireland last week, blaming the EU for putting a revolver on the table in trade talks and trying to divide up the UK. He says the UK has to have the ability to break parts of the 2020 Brexit treaty he signed to uphold London's commitments under the 1998 peace deal which ended 3 decades of sectarian violence in Northern Ireland between pro-British Protestant Unionists and Irish Catholic nationalists. But the EU hit back, warning any breach of the Brexit treaty could sink trade talks and thus complicate the border between the United Kingdom's Northern Ireland and EU member Ireland. It came as US presidential candidate Joe Biden insisted the Good Friday peace deal in Northern Ireland cannot become a casualty of Brexit. The Democratic Party nominee for the White House said a future trade deal between the US and UK could only happen if the peace agreement was respected. Mr. Biden tweeted, "We can't allow the Good Friday Agreement that brought peace to Northern Ireland to become a casualty of Brexit. Any trade deal between the US and UK must be contingent upon respect for the agreement and preventing the return of a hard border." Period. In response, Downing Street took a swipe at Mr. Biden and said the government was working with US politicians to make sure people understood its position. He said, "We continue to remain absolutely committed to no hard border and no border infrastructure between the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland. And we will continue to engage with our US partners on a bipartisan basis to ensure that our positions are understood." Asked if Mr. Biden was wrong, the spokesman said, "We will continue to work with our US partners to ensure our position is understood, but the whole point of this, as the PM has set out, is to make sure the Belfast Good Friday Agreement is upheld."